Alex Rivera and Jordan Kim were just two ordinary teens in a quiet suburban town, until a single decision behind the wheel turned their evening into a heart-pounding chase that would leave police scrambling and an entire town on edge. The evening had a strange calmness, the kind that made the ordinary streets of the suburban town feel almost cinematic. Streetlights flickered on as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. For most residents, it was just another ordinary evening. Children finishing homework, neighbors walking dogs, and cars slowly making their way home from work. But for one young driver, the night held something entirely different, a restless energy that could not be contained. The driver was barely out of high school, a member of Gen Z, accustomed to constant connection through phones, apps, and social media feeds. Life had always been fast-paced, but tonight, it was about to reach a level no one in the neighborhood would forget. The black sports car in the driveway seemed almost to hum with anticipation, polished to a high shine, its engine ready to roar. Observers later described it as sleek, almost predatory, a car that belonged more on a racetrack than on quiet suburban streets. The neighbors had noticed something unusual in the days leading up to the incident. The car would often be parked in odd spots, engine revving long after sunset, lights cutting through the darkness in a way that made even the most casual passerby pause. The young driver's online presence hinted at a craving for attention, a desire to impress peers with daring stunts and bold maneuvers, yet no one could have predicted how far it would go tonight. When the driver finally pulled out of the driveway, the wheels seemed to grip the asphalt with a sense of urgency. The car's engine growled like a living creature, eager and impatient. A local police officer, completing routine patrol duties, immediately noticed the unusual speed and erratic movements. What began as a simple traffic stop quickly escalated when the driver refused to slow down. The moment the officer's lights flashed behind the vehicle, a decision was made, split-second and irreversible. The chase had begun. At first, it seemed almost surreal, as though the streets themselves had transformed. What were normally calm, orderly roads became a stage for reckless speed and daring maneuvers. Street signs blurred as the car accelerated, weaving through intersections with a combination of precision and recklessness that left onlookers holding their breath. Traffic lights changed from green to red in a haze, yet the driver showed an uncanny ability to navigate without slowing, a skill that suggested more than just luck. The early minutes of the pursuit were chaotic. Passers-by stopped to watch, smartphones raised, recording the unfolding drama. The hum of the car's engine, the shrill wail of police sirens, and the occasional honk of a horn created a tense symphony that echoed through the streets. For the young driver, adrenaline was a surge that heightened senses, sharpened focus, and seemed to make every turn and maneuver feel instinctual. Every second of the chase built a rhythm, a dangerous dance between authority and audacity, where the slightest miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. As the vehicle disappeared around the next corner, leaving only the sound of the sirens and the lingering smell of burning rubber, it became clear that this was no ordinary joyride. What had begun as a routine evening had transformed into the start of a high-stakes, high-speed pursuit. Residents would later recount the fear and fascination that gripped them, and investigators would note that this was a case where skill, recklessness, and a hunger for thrill collided in a way that was both terrifying and unforgettable. The chase quickly escalated beyond anything the neighborhood had ever seen. The young driver pushed the sports car to its limits, hitting speeds that blurred the edges of reality. At 117 miles per hour, the streets transformed into a streak of lights and shadows, the hum of the engine vibrating through the air like a living heartbeat. Houses and trees flashed past, their familiar shapes distorted by sheer velocity. The officer behind barely managed to keep pace, sirens screaming and lights cutting through the twilight, alerting anyone in the vicinity that something extraordinary and dangerous was underway. The streets were far from empty, making every turn a test of reflexes. The driver navigated corners with unnerving precision, swerving around parked cars, mailboxes, and street signs as though anticipating every obstacle moments before it appeared. Residents later described the surreal sensation of watching a blur of black metal hurtle past them, leaving nothing but a wake of wind and adrenaline. Each maneuver was daring yet calculated, a reckless display of skill that left onlookers stunned and terrified in equal measure. Traffic cameras captured the unfolding chaos, recording the chase from multiple angles. Each frame revealed the driver's combination of audacity and instinct, a seemingly natural talent for handling extreme speed in a confined space. Officers on the ground coordinated with dispatch, trying to predict the vehicle's next move, but every strategy was met with a counter. It was a pursuit that tested not just law enforcement's resources, but their patience and nerve. The young driver seemed to feed off the tension, accelerating through intersections and twisting through side streets that most drivers would have avoided entirely. As the chase intensified, bystanders became an unintended part of the spectacle. Some stepped onto sidewalks, filming the scene with phones, while others instinctively ducked behind parked cars, unsure of the vehicle's trajectory. Every turn brought a new wave of fear and fascination, a mix of danger and thrill that made the streets feel like a theater for the impossible. The driver's attention to detail was meticulous. Not a single misstep occurred, not a single collision, despite the chaos. It was as if the car and its operator were synchronized, moving as one entity against the world that struggled to contain it. Meanwhile, more police units joined the pursuit, trying to set up a perimeter that could end the chase safely. Helicopters hovered above, tracking the speeding vehicle from the sky, while ground units attempted to close in without causing a catastrophe. Yet the driver found ways to evade every tactic. Tight turns, sudden bursts of acceleration, and unconventional shortcuts through narrow alleys made the vehicle seem almost untouchable. Even trained officers could not anticipate the next move, and each attempt to corner the car ended with it slipping through their grasp like water. The tension was unbearable, a continuous escalation where every second brought new surprises. The young driver seemed fearless, untouched by the danger that would have stopped anyone else. Each street, each intersection became a stage for a performance that balanced on the edge of disaster. The town held its breath as the chase roared on, a spectacle of speed and skill that blurred the line between thrill and terror. It was a pursuit that would be replayed in police reports, news coverage, and social media feeds. A story of reckless daring and extraordinary precision that left everyone wondering just how far a single driver could push both car and circumstance. The chase took a dramatic turn as the streets began to transform into a labyrinth of obstacles. Construction zones appeared without warning, cones and barriers suddenly blocking lanes that had been clear just moments before. The young driver reacted instantly, swerving with a precision that seemed impossible at such high speeds. Each evasive maneuver brought the car within inches of danger. Mailboxes shattered, fences rattled, and loose gravel sprayed into the air. It was a delicate balance of skill and luck, a combination that kept the vehicle on the road while sending adrenaline surging through everyone watching. Even more startling were the unexpected elements that made the pursuit unpredictable. A stray dog darted across the street, forcing the driver to brake sharply, tires screeching against the asphalt. Pedestrians froze, some in shock, some instinctively stepping aside, barely avoiding what could have been a disaster. Every second demanded instant reactions, and the young driver met each challenge with a mix of focus and instinct that defied ordinary logic. It was as if the car and its operator were one entity, responding to threats with almost preternatural awareness. Police reinforcements arrived in waves, trying to create strategic barriers and blockades. Officers coordinated over radio channels, sharing updates and predictions, but the driver always seemed one step ahead. Narrow alleyways, side streets, and abandoned driveways became escape routes, each one used with a boldness that bordered on reckless genius. The pursuing unit struggled to contain the chaos, forced to constantly adjust tactics as the driver navigated obstacles that no one expected to be part of a high-speed chase. As the pursuit pushed into more densely populated areas, the danger increased exponentially. Cars waiting at traffic lights, unsuspecting cyclists, and evening commuters suddenly became part of the unfolding drama. Each turn was a potential collision, each acceleration a gamble, with countless variables. Yet somehow the young driver maintained complete control, navigating the urban maze with a mix of fearlessness and uncanny precision. The chaos seemed choreographed, a high-stakes dance in which every move carried the weight of life or injury. The chase also began to draw the attention of those watching from their homes and businesses. Security cameras, dash cams, and even casual bystanders captured the event from multiple angles, creating a fragmented mosaic of speed, skill, and danger. Social media buzzed with live updates, the story spreading faster than the car itself. For the driver, the attention seemed irrelevant. Every second focused on the immediate challenge, on the next obstacle, on staying ahead of the officers determined to stop the pursuit. Despite the mounting pressure, the young driver's audacity never wavered. Sharp turns through narrow streets, sudden accelerations to avoid capture, and split-second decisions to skirt hazards made the vehicle seem untouchable. Officers on the ground began to realize that traditional methods of containment were futile. The driver's understanding of the town streets, combined with a natural instinct for high-speed maneuvers, turned the chase into a spectacle of tension and unpredictability. Each obstacle overcame was a moment of triumph, a fleeting victory in a pursuit that was far from over, leaving everyone involved wondering how it would end. The chase took a dramatic and unexpected turn as the young driver entered the abandoned warehouse district on the outskirts of town. The area was a stark contrast to the bustling neighborhoods and busy streets they had raced through moments before. Rusted metal structures loomed like silent sentinels, casting long, eerie shadows under the dim glow of streetlight. The air smelled of oil and dust, and the ground was uneven, littered with debris that could have spelled disaster at the speeds the car was traveling. For a moment, it seemed the driver might finally meet their match in the unpredictable terrain. Instead, the young driver slowed, but not in surrender. The sudden deceleration was disorienting for the pursuing officers, who had expected a frantic dash for freedom to continue. Instead, the car executed a perfect controlled spin, tires screeching as it pivoted in a circle, the engine growling like a beast asserting dominance. The maneuver was executed with such precision that it seemed almost impossible, a daring display that left the officers momentarily stunned. It was a move that demonstrated not only skill but also an understanding of spatial dynamics that few drivers possess, particularly at such extreme speeds. The abandoned warehouses created a maze of opportunities for escape. The young driver took advantage of narrow passages, weaving between rusted shipping containers and broken-down equipment, each movement calculated to avoid capture while minimizing the risk of damage. The echo of tires on concrete and the wail of distant sirens created a surreal soundtrack, heightening the tension as the chase turned into a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game. Every choice mattered. One wrong turn could end in a crash. One misjudged angle could trap the car. Yet the driver moved with an instinctive mastery, navigating the terrain as though familiar with every hidden corner and shadowed pathway. The officers tried to predict the next move, forming coordinated plans to intercept the car, but every strategy was foiled. It became apparent that the driver had not only relied on skill, but also on an intimate knowledge of the city's less traveled routes. What initially seemed like impulsive decision-making was revealed to be a calculated use of the urban landscape, exploiting areas that police units could not easily reach. The more the chase progressed, the more it became a study in precision, daring, and psychological edge, with the young driver controlling the narrative despite the overwhelming odds. In a final twist, the car suddenly disappeared from sight, leaving only tire marks etched into the concrete and a faint cloud of dust hanging in the air. Officers arrived moments later, scanning the area for any sign of the driver, but there was nothing. Surveillance cameras and eyewitness accounts later pieced together the escape. A network of alleyways and underground paths had allowed the driver to vanish, seemingly into thin air. The warehouse district, once thought to be a trap, had become the perfect cover for an astonishing disappearance. The scene left investigators and bystanders alike in disbelief. A single young driver had managed to outmaneuver a coordinated police pursuit in broad daylight, turning what could have been a routine high-speed chase into a near-mythical feat of daring and skill. The combination of precise driving, intimate knowledge of the environment, and unshakable composure had transformed the chase into a story that would be analyzed and retold for years to come, a tale of ingenuity and audacity that defied expectations at every turn. The aftermath of the chase sent shockwaves through the town and beyond. Footage captured by security cameras, dash cams, and the smartphones of bystanders quickly made its way onto social media, drawing attention from viewers far outside the suburban streets where it all began. Clips of the black sports car weaving through neighborhoods, narrowly avoiding collisions, and finally disappearing into the abandoned warehouse district circulated widely, each share and comment magnifying the story. The young driver became an instant, if infamous, figure, a symbol of audacity and skill in a world captivated by viral moments. For the residents who had witnessed the chase firsthand, the event left a lingering sense of tension and disbelief. Some recalled the deafening roar of the engine and the screaming sirens, the way the car seemed to appear and vanish like a shadow in the twilight. Others remembered the close calls with traffic, pedestrians, and even animals, and the instinctive fear that something catastrophic could happen at any moment. The streets that had once felt familiar now seemed charged with the memory of speed and danger, a reminder that ordinary routines could be disrupted in an instant. Police agencies began the painstaking work of piecing together every detail of the pursuit. Hours of video footage, GPS tracking, and eyewitness reports were meticulously analyzed to understand how the driver had managed to evade capture. Each maneuver, each shortcut through side streets or alleys, was studied to determine the combination of planning instinct and skill that had allowed such a seemingly impossible escape. Law enforcement officials acknowledged the challenge they faced. Traditional methods of pursuit had been outmatched by a driver who combined courage with an uncanny sense of spatial awareness and quick decision-making. As investigations continued, the identity of the driver eventually came to light. A young adult with no significant criminal history, the individual appeared to have been motivated less by malice than by thrill-seeking and a fascination with testing limits. The revelation sparked debates in the community and online about the influence of social media, the allure of viral attention, and the dangers of reckless driving. Analysts and commentators dissected the psychological aspects of the chase, speculating on the mindset of a person willing to take such risks and the impact of digital culture on behavior. The story became more than just a high-speed pursuit. It became a cultural touchstone. Local news stations, true crime podcasts, and online channels recounted the events, emphasizing the combination of skill, daring, and luck that defined the chase. In classrooms, discussions about risk, decision-making, and consequence used the incident as a case study. Among viewers and residents, the narrative provoked fascination, fear, and reflection. What began as a single driver's impulsive choice had grown into a story that captivated a town, challenged law enforcement, and sparked conversations about the ways technology, youth, and thrill intersect in modern society. Ultimately, the chase left a lasting impression, a tale of audacity and expertise that blurred the line between danger and spectacle. It reminded everyone that extraordinary events could erupt from the most ordinary settings, that a single person with skill and daring could command attention and provoke reflection far beyond their immediate surroundings. The black sports car, the twisting streets, and the vanished driver became more than just images in a video. They became symbols of risk, ingenuity, and the unpredictable nature of human behavior, ensuring that the story would not be forgotten.